Despite the 2021 NFL salary cap going down, free agency is going on a frenzy, and boy, a lot of teams are getting players. A lot of players are switching uniforms. That being said, here are the top 3 winners and top 3 losers of the NFL free agency 2021. The biggest winner by far are the New England Patriots. It's just like they have a massive haul like a Christmas catalog and just went and got everybody, and I mean everybody. They have a lot to sign this free agency, and let's start with the offense. They already have 2 of the better tight ends in free agency in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. So Bill Belichick once more will have a dual tight end setup, just like Daniel Graham and Benjamin Watson before, and of course Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. But their haul is not just on the offensive side of the ball. They also fortified their defense with Matthew Judon, the outside linebacker that is, and Davon Godchaux, the nose tackle, and 2 more of defensive linemen, Henry Anderson from the Jets and Dietrich Wise. So that's a huge haul for the Patriots, and they are expected to improve from their 7-9 record last season. Will they make the playoffs? Well, only time will tell, but for certain, this is a better roster that they have last season, especially on the receiving core. So Cam Newton must be able to do better with this roster, and expect them to have a winning record in 2021. The second biggest winner of the NFL free agency are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, their haul is not as big as New England, but they were able to sign their vital players back. Remember that they are like the super team of the NFL last season with all the stars that they brought in, and they were able to bring back some of them already, with Rob Gronkowski signing a 1-year deal, of course Chris Godwin signing the franchise tag, and the biggest haul of all, the biggest signing of all, is Shaq Barrett, locking him up for 4 more years. So that's a big deal in terms of their pass rush. So the defense is still intact, the offense is still intact, but Tampa Bay still has a long way to go. They still have to decide on Leonard Fournette and of course Antonio Brown, but at least they have some of the band members together, so they can continue to create sweet music throughout the 2021 NFL season. So they are still one of the favorites to make it to Super Bowl 56. Only time will tell once again if they have enough pieces to win it all back to back. The third biggest winner of the NFL free agency, and this is a surprise actually because their haul is not as big as the first 2, but their signings are of huge impact, and I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns. I mean, John Johnson alone from the Los Angeles Rams is a big addition, especially to their poor secondary defense. And not just that, he can also put pressure on the quarterback even though he is in the secondary, so that's his talent. He can also help in run defense, especially when the opposing team's running back has already breached through the linebackers and the D-line. So there's a lot of things that John Johnson helped the Browns patch, and that's why he's a big addition to this team now that they're one of the playoff contenders essentially of the AFC. And one of their additions as well is Takkarist McKinley from the Las Vegas Raiders as well. So this is a low-key addition for the Browns, but it does help give them another body that can relieve some pressure from Myles Garrett, can attract some of the attention from the offensive line, and help Myles Garrett have his reins and just run wild as he goes for the quarterback. So those are the 3 top winners of the NFL free agency 2021, and we now go to the biggest losers. One of the biggest losers of this ongoing free agency and offseason are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Without a doubt, they lost a lot of people, even though they brought back Ben Roethlisberger on that renegotiated contract. They lost 2 of their biggest players on defense. That's Bud Dupree, who is now a Tennessee Titan for 5 years, $85 million. And of course, who I think is the biggest loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason is Mike Hilton. Even though he's not a household name, Mike Hilton, if you look at his stats, he just covers a lot of ground. So he patches a lot of holes on the Steelers defense because he can blitz, he can also defend the pass, and he can also force some fumbles. So that's versatility that they will now be missing in Pittsburgh. And now that Mike Hilton is out, and worst of it all is that he transferred to a division rival, the Cincinnati Bengals. So all of the secrets of Pittsburgh now are in Mike Hilton's mind, and he can now share it with this new team. So those are biggest losses for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They remain competitive, but in an ultra competitive division like the AFC North, they might not reach the top once again like they did last season. And Cleveland's improving, Baltimore's improving, and of course Cincinnati is on its way up. So chances are that Pittsburgh might be the third or even the fourth best team in that division, which is not enough to make the playoffs. Second biggest loser of the 2021 NFL free agency are the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Russell Wilson did complain of protection that he gets from the O-line. Unfortunately, the Seahawks did not do anything to address that. It's still the same O-line. They lost some pieces, and it's still the same front wall for Russell Wilson. They did not even bother bring anybody in to convince Russell Wilson to stay because he already is feeling some teams that he will play for next. So without much needed improvement from the O-line, so there's still a chance that Russell Wilson might leave, and that might be the biggest loss that the franchise might have in recent history. But aside from that, they also lost Shaquille Griffin, the cornerback, and running back Carlos Hyde. And those are significant losses on both offense and defense. And they did not really make some essential free agency moves because they are just $13 million over the cap, which makes it hard to sign players if you're that close to the cap ceiling. So Seattle essentially will have the same roster, practically the same lineup, and just like the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are in one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, and that's the NFC West. I mean, they have the Los Angeles Rams, they have the San Francisco 49ers, and they also have the Arizona Cardinals, who just had J.J. Watt that will upgrade their defense to some extent. So Seattle, this is the year not to be too much optimistic, I guess, but they will remain competitive. They will win games, but it would be hard to survive their division itself. And if you have a tough time surviving your division itself, chances are there won't be enough playoff spots for you. You will be at number 8 or number 9, just waiting on the outside on the fringes. And the third loser of this 2021 NFL free agency has to be the Las Vegas Raiders. So they did sign Yannick Ngakoue, but nobody else. So that's a big addition, yes, no doubt. Bolster their pass rush, their defensive line. But they have a lot of holes to fill in their roster. And just so that they have a lot of holes to fill, they lost Aguilar, they lost McKinley, they lost running back Devontae Booker to the New York Giants, and wide receiver Tyrell Williams to the Detroit Lions. So that's 4 essential pieces that they lost to different teams. Granted that they will still remain competitive in the AFC, but I see that the Raiders will lose some victories or have a worse record than they had in 2020 because of the pieces that they lost, and essentially they're not upgrading at all. I mean, John Gruden also is one of the coaches that doesn't have much patience. I mean, if he doesn't like a player 1 month after signing him, he will push for the front office to make a deal for that player or just cut him outrightly. So that's a problem for the Las Vegas Raiders. That's why nobody lasts, and that's why they couldn't build a competitive roster. I mean, Derek Carr is one of the talented quarterbacks there is, but he doesn't have much weapons to work with now. And on defense, they have a lot of questions to address as well. So the Las Vegas Raiders, the third of the NFL free agency 2021 losers for this edition. So if you like this video, please comment, please subscribe, please like this video, please share as well, and continue to watch all of our videos at Watson Sports. Once again, this has been your sports nerd, Lance Fernandez, saying goodbye, God bless.